Good evening and welcome to our 13th of October 2021 live market overview. I'm joined by by Bilo the former bear and also by a few other people. So we've got some guests in the room. We've got Mark, Carl and Kai, who will probably be joining us and asking a few questions here and there and giving us some charts that they want us to have a look at. Good evening, Bilo.
Good evening, everyone. Happy to have you here with us on this evening. For some of you, it's maybe a little late. For some of you, it's early. We're all in different parts of the world, but we're happy we can connect with you all this way. We'll start off the way we always do. We do an overview of what's been happening with Bitcoin over the past little while, starting with the previous grand cycle 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I'll just draw it here for you. Doesn't really matter where the 1 and the 2 is, but for now, just to explain where the 3, the 4, and the 5 are. This is the previous grand cycle of Bitcoin, which culminated in the all-time high at around 64,600. We then had a slew of events leading to this crash, the China FUD, the Elon tweet, and the IRS news. But aside from that, there were also some technical indicators on the chart that made it kind of obvious that we were about to fall. So we had this rising wedge, which also is referred to in Elliott wave theory as an ending wave diagonal, where wave 1, as you know, in waves, each primary wave has 5 waves inside of it. So wave 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is an ending wave diagonal. And whenever you have an ending wave diagonal, it's usually preceded, or it's usually what comes after it is a strong correction. That correction normally would have happened to the top of the previous wave 3, which is 42K. But what happened in this case is the market was so over-leveraged. There were so many long, extended, over-leveraged, extended positions in the market that it led to this additional flash crash down to approximately 30K. At that point, we entered into an accumulation phase of Bitcoin, which is that's described in the Wyckoff accumulation. This here would be the low volume sell-off. This would be the test. And we are where we are today. Now, what's interesting is looking at it this way. If this was the 5th wave, and then we had a correction to, let me just get it for you, the ABC here. This is A, B, C. And then we had this accumulation period where we had to start a new wave. And new waves in crypto, guys, they don't always happen right after. So it's not like you have in crypto or in anything for that matter. It's not like you always have a continuity of ABC and then it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 again. Sometimes you'll have an ABC, 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 ABC until you start a new wave structure. So in this case, this new wave structure started somewhere here. So this would be wave 1, wave 2, wave 3, wave 4. And now we are in what would be wave 5, wherever wave 5 leads. We'll analyze the different potential targets for wave 5 as we go along. I just wanted to give you a little bit of an overview of what we've seen. Something we've also pointed out, actually Pumpeye was the first to notice it, is that inside of wave 3, we have a very similar fractal to what we saw inside of wave 5 on the previous grand cycle, which is we also had an ending wave diagonal. I'll just put it into a lower time frame so you guys can see it clearly. But maybe that's too small. I'll go into a 4-hour. Here we go. So right here, inside of wave 3, we have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then the wave 5 of wave 3 also happens to be an ending wave diagonal, okay, where you have, if you're confused by all the numbers, just let me know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Which also followed with an ABC. Now, the difference between this ABC and the ABC before is that the people in this, you have to think in terms of psychology. And at this stage, it was euphoric. Bitcoin was making higher highs and it was just not stopping. So people were not on guard. and they were just in over leveraged positions. Here, people, you have to understand, we're still below the all-time high. Around these levels, people were still calling for a revisit of 20K, 14K, whatever. We were still below this line here. At the time, it was being made as you go, because you're connecting the all-time high to the next current high. People were not as over leveraged as they were here. So the correction happened to be a normal one-to-one correction. ABC is almost a one-to-one correction. And what happened, similar to this Wyckoff accumulation pattern that we saw here, we had another Wyckoff accumulation pattern, but a mini one right here at the end of the C. So similar fractal to what we saw here, we're seeing it here again. And just like we broke out here, we are breaking out here again. So this just gives you guys a little bit of an overview of what's been happening with Bitcoin over the last little while. I'm just going to erase everything that's on this chart. Pumpeye, how do I erase everything? Is it this? Yeah, here we go. And I want to show you something that I found very interesting. So it's always nice to zoom out, right? It's nice to zoom out and see, where are we in terms of the big picture. So this is the all-time high. If we take a Fibonacci retracement from the all-time high to the lows, we've gone beyond 618, we've gone above 705, and we're actually now testing 786. I mean, this is very bullish, right? Because we're always, getting rejected at the 618, 705 region. In this case, we've traversed this, we're above that region. Something else that I find interesting is we always look at the daily, we look at the weekly, but this time I want to look at the monthly. And if you look at the monthly, I just have to zoom out a little bit so we can see it. Okay, so if we look at the monthly, guys, two things that I want to draw your attention to. One, look at the oscillator. So when we reached the all-time high of Bitcoin, look where the oscillator was. RSI was at 86, 90%, and MFI was at 90%. Both of them were high. But we don't look at oscillators only in terms of oversold and overbought and oversold. We also look at them in terms of the differential between the last two highs. So this being a high, and this today here, where we are today being the next high, we want to always make sure that there's enough room to grow before we reach the new high on an oscillator level. So in this case, it would be this. It would be this right here. Oops, this is too thick. And I'll change the color so you can see it. Make it yellow. And this right here. So what I'm getting at is the differential in price between where we are today to the 65. If this line here for RSI and this line here for MFI were actually very close to that peak, I'd be saying we're very close to turning back again. I'd be saying let's assume I'll blow this up a little bit. Let's assume that the line was actually let me just find the right tool for this. Here, let's say that this price-wise away, but the fact that we're so low, we're still in the mid-range on the monthly, means there's a lot of room for growth. And the fact that it's going to the top side, it's actually going up. Both these put together, along with the fact that when you compare the differential, there's quite a bit of room for growth on RSI and on MFI. These are very, very bullish signs, guys. This leads me to believe that there's a lot of room left for growth for Bitcoin before we have to be concerned with a serious correction. Now, of course, when I speak like this, I'm speaking through a TA perspective. From an FA perspective, something can happen tomorrow. There could be news out of the US, the SEC, Congress, taxation. There could be another black swan event. Anything can happen. But purely from a TA perspective, this is really, really good. The other thing is we also see here something that we haven't seen in a long time. On Market Cipher B, Market Cipher is it's a tool that we bought at Crypto Society. which gives us buy signals, sell signals. It just combines different algorithms. And in this case, we're getting a buy signal on the monthly, something that's quite rare. The last time we saw this was here. When Bitcoin was at $9,300, there was a buy signal on the monthly. So just to show you how significant this is, the next red sell signal happened on the in the month, at least. I don't know exactly when it would have popped up, but let's say on the month where the all-time high was reached. And now we have this new buy signal. Now, one thing I would like to see, and there's still plenty of time, you see here, there's 18 days and 4 hours left before the month closes. But one thing I would like to see, this green candle is very nice, but I'd like to see this volume bar at least in this region here. I'd like to see this kind of volume. Okay, I'd like to be above these last 2 or 3 monthly volume bars.
Bilo, you're going to have to start emptying your coffers, mate, and invest your money into Bitcoin.
Well, this is the thing with Bitcoin, right, guys? I mean, we've done this before. We've been down this path before. Everything points to one thing, and it's like just perfect. And you know, something happens, and it's important. And I say this purposely, not to cover my ass, but to tell you guys to be careful. Don't over leverage. If you believe in Bitcoin long term, more reason for you to be going in. If you just want to make a quick buck, TA wise, it's telling us right now that there should be continuation. TA wise tells us there's continuation. We should be going up some more here. The target's obviously retesting the all-time high. On or around, and if we reach this 65K level, what I want to be looking at is what does the RSI, money flow, what does the volume look like? These are the things I'll be looking for. Because if the volume is just not there, if it's not high enough and we're reaching these peaks, it just doesn't give me that conviction that the power is there for continuation. It just means to me that this is like a test of the level before we go back down, or something else. Something else is happening. But for the time being, Bitcoin just looks amazing. And I'll take it even a step further, and I'll show you how we can start targeting. And there is a target that we spoke about last week and maybe the week before. I don't remember anymore. But if we look at Bitcoin and bring it back to basics and forget Elliott wave counts and just, you know, sometimes it's just maybe too complicated. Just look at it from a very simplistic point of view. So this here is, could have done it on a daily chart, I suppose. Let me just see how it looks. Yeah. Let me just fix this, guys. So
such a happy face.
Yeah, it is a happy face. Oops, what am I doing here? Let me just erase these. All right. So it's not the best looking inverse head and shoulders, but it is an inverse head and shoulders. So here's the left shoulder. This is the head, and this is the right shoulder. You could say to yourself, this could also be a cup and handle. You could start the cup and handle somewhere here. You could say this is the cup and handle. I mean, it doesn't really matter, okay? The target, if this was a cup and handle, and we're talking and thinking as we go here, that if this was a cup and handle, the target is here. And if this was an inverse head and shoulders, the target is here. So essentially, the target for Bitcoin is in this box here between 76 to 80K. I mean, it's not a big difference, right? When you look at the big picture, 76 to 80K is the target for Bitcoin. If we look back and we evaluate back to Elliott wave theory, and I just want to go back now to my, oh, you know what? I'll just do it here. So if this was 1, 2, and this is 3, 4, we're looking for 5. So we would do this, wave 3 happened to be at 2.618. Okay, wave 3 happened to be at 2.618, and then we retraced. This is wave 4. So I'll just remove all that actually because it could be confusing. Oops, not this. I just want to remove these. This. And this. Okay. Excuse me. So 1 and 2. So wave 3 is 2.618. Okay. If we take the price difference of wave 3 to wave 2, so price range, we have 80%. Let's take the price difference from wave 4 to the potential minimum of wave 5. This is the minimum. It would be 91%. Okay. Normally, wave 3 is the longest wave. And when wave 5 is extended, and in this case, it will be extended if these targets are right, usually you'll have a harder correction. Okay, it's just Elliott wave theory. Okay, it's not my opinion. It's just Elliott wave theory. So if the targets of these inverse head and shoulders or the cup and handles are to be trusted, wave 5 is going to be longer than wave 3. And when wave 5 is longer than wave 3, typically you have a harder correction. So why am I saying this is because as we go up here, guys, and as we test the all-time high, what you're likely going to see is either a slowdown around the 64, 65K. Either it's going to be a slowdown where you see like volume decrease as you get closer, or you're going to see just like a big green candle. I don't think you'll see a reversal. I think Bitcoin is going to exceed the all-time high this year. We've been saying this for a while. We've been saying this when Bitcoin was here. Okay. I believe we believe it's going to exceed this level this year. Now, when it comes to this level here, the minute we're above this level, in my opinion, we're in dangerous territory for the entire market. Because at any point, profit is going to start to be taken. We just saw, I think it was a few days ago or last week, there was like a $1.2 billion market buy of Bitcoin. This resulted in one of those candles here. I mean, think about it. Whoever went and market bought Bitcoin at around, I don't know what it was at the time, I think it was 47, 48K. I mean, these are not people that are going to just sit on it. I think they're going to want to take profit, and obviously they're not going to sell all their Bitcoins, but they're going to sell something, and that something is going to be big. Same for the people that bought down here. I mean, there's people that bought here, there's people that bought here, there's people that bought lower. People will take profits, guys. There's no way people will not take profits. So my best advice to you is, if you're holding Bitcoin or you're in the market in general, be prepared that this is the last cycle before we kind of go into back into a bear market. This is not a bear market. This was a correction. It was a hard correction. I explained the reasons why, but we were still in a correction. This was not a bear market. People call this a bear market. It wasn't. A bear market is going to be different. A bear market is going to be very different. So my prediction is we are probably going to go above not probably, I believe we're going to go, and we're going to range to between, let's call it 75 to 80K before there's a correction. That's what I think is going to happen. There's another way to look at this, and I started doing it, but I haven't finished, is what if this wasn't wave 5? And this is the thing in Elliott wave analysis, is it's very possible that a wave count works, but it could be that another wave count works as well and adds or makes more sense. What if this was wave 3 and this was wave 4, and now we're going up to wave 5. Well, if this was wave 3, and this was wave 2, and this was wave 1, if I was to just get rid of all this here, if this was wave 1, it doesn't really matter too much where we start. I'm just looking for the crash. Here's the crash. Even there, I mean, if this was 1, 2, 3, 4, it wouldn't work. Sorry, it wouldn't work because wave 4 can't go lower than wave 1. So this couldn't be wave 1. There was something else I was trying to analyze, guys. I don't have it with me. I'll probably talk about it next time. But I have a scenario where this here was wave 3. And if this is wave 3, the target for wave 5 actually works out to this target here. I wish I had prepared this in advance. I didn't. I was looking at this the other day. And I'll prepare it for next week. But it just gives me confluence for this target right here in this gray box right here. Something else that we discussed over the past few weeks, and it's very interesting, is when you look at, where is it? Okay, I need to get it. Quick quant. When you look at on-chain analysis, okay? Can you guys see my screen?
I think Frank might want to comment on something. Just one sec.
Sure.
You shouldn't be force muted. You should be able to unmute yourself, Frank.
Yes, you will be able to unmute yourself, Frank. Sorry, I did it at the beginning just because some people join unmuted by accident and then we get background noises, so I just mute everybody individually straight away. Good evening. Right. How are you?
It was practically just classic user error. Hey, by the way.
Hey, Frank. How are you, man?
Yeah, man. Good, Bilo. Actually, love your take on BTC right now, Bilo. But the only thing I was going to say is maybe your theory for that being wave 3 was actually taking the bear market low as the beginning back in 18. I've seen some people do that count where they go from back in 18 and then the bottom of wave 2 is the market crash of March. And then it goes up to, I think, the peak.
I had started this analysis somewhere in one of my charts and I didn't finish it, but I found a count that actually works and supports wave 3 being what I was saying was wave 5. But you're right, it does take into account more history.
Yeah, so in short, what wave do you think we're effectively making the last push up, right? We're entering wave 5. Is that your thesis?
If we are actually in wave 5 now, that's the case that I want to try to make more for next week because I had started this, then yes. But if we're not in wave 5, even if, let me put it this way, even if we were not in wave 5, even if my count here is what it's supposed to be, and this is wave 5, ABC, and we started a new wave, this new wave, I mean, nothing continues in perpetuity, right? There is reversals at some point in time. So just because this wave 5 or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 was so large, it doesn't mean that the next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is going to lead to $200,000 or $300,000, if you know what I mean. So in fact, we do have a valid wave count here. We have a 1, a 2, a 3, a 4, and now we're going up to make the 5.
So I suppose, yeah, I'm actually 100% following you, and I agree with you with the count that you have actually here. My question is more about the larger wave count.
So
and by that, I mean for the, yeah, you know what I mean, in fact.
Yeah, of course. For the larger wave count, like I said, I wasn't prepared. I had like my notes to talk about this today, but didn't finish my analysis to do a proper presentation on it. But it does start off by going in. Excuse me. Let me just try to zoom out of the chart and get more of the picture from before. It does have to do, like you pointed out, Frank, with what happened in the past. Okay. And we'd have to take into account 2017, 2018, and all that. to make sense of it. Is that what you're proposing as well, Frank?
Can you hear me again? Sorry.
Yeah, now I can hear you.
All right, I muted myself. That's exactly kind of what I was trying to. I thought that's what you were hinting towards, and I was just trying to. Because the beginning of this larger wave, effectively, I see as December 18. December 18 would be the beginning of wave 1.
Right here.
So as I see it, the larger wave count, because in my mind, I simply cannot believe we're not in wave 5. If we're still in the bigger wave 3, that's something my mind can't comprehend. So I think the wave 1 started.
Hold on. When you're saying you can't agree that we're in the bigger wave 3, you mean here?
Yes.
Definitely not. The question for me is, was this wave 5 or was this wave 3? That's really the question that
wave
I have.
3.
Yeah.
Right.
So, to make the case for this being wave 3, we would have to go back like here somewhere. Okay?
Yeah,
so
there.
Kind of say like 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's, I think, what's happening, right? On that larger scale.
I think so, for several reasons. What made me start to think about it this way was the targets of the current, what Bitcoin is targeting for the moment. It didn't make sense to me that if we were to reach, let's call it this level or that level, it didn't make sense to me that we're starting a new wave, because then that would just be wave 1. So imagine wave 1 is ending at 78K. That means wave 5. I mean, we're in the $2 or $3 or $400,000 levels at that point. And the fact that the amount of accumulation that happened in this region, I just have a very hard time believing that there's not going to be a lot of profit taking around those levels, a lot of profit taking. So for me, this is what led me back to say, hold on a minute, was this wave 5, which if it was, it's great news because we're starting a new cycle. But then this wasn't enough of a punitive cycle to me. This is not really a bear market. I couldn't have called this a bear market. This was a hard correction. So then the bear market hasn't come yet. So if the bear market hasn't come yet, could this have really been wave 3 and wave 5 was yet to come? That's what got me starting to think back and reanalyze my position on this.
I see. Yeah. So, thanks for sharing. I'm following, and I'm with you on that thought, actually.
Pleasure. So I was saying about this, guys, and it's so important, and I say this every week, and unfortunately, to get the accurate and most up-to-date information, it is very expensive. But for free or for a very little amount of money, you could actually get some information. We've been saying this for a couple of weeks, and it's really interesting. We saw the price of Bitcoin drop in September, up until, let's say, the end of September. We were seeing the price of Bitcoin drop. But as we were seeing the price of Bitcoin drop, we were also seeing the Bitcoin reserves dropping. This is this is unusual. Okay, usually. So just to explain to those that don't know what this is. So Bitcoin reserves is the amount of Bitcoin that's held on exchanges. So if there's Bitcoin sent to exchanges, the Bitcoin reserves go up. And if Bitcoin is moved away from exchanges, Bitcoin reserves goes down. And it's a commonly held belief. It's a common held belief that when there's more Bitcoin being transferred onto exchanges, the price is about to go down because Bitcoin is available for sale versus locked up in cold wallets. That's just a common belief. It doesn't always work that way because obviously if everybody knows this, then the powers that be, the whales, the whatever you want to call them, can play with our minds and just send Bitcoin to the exchanges just for the sake of screwing with us and making us sell, thinking the price is going to go down, and then they just, they go the opposite way. But the majority of the time, this has held to be more true that when Bitcoin is sent onto an exchange, it's a bearish sign, and when Bitcoin leaves an exchange, it's a bullish sign. Definitely, you can make the argument that when Bitcoin leaves an exchange, it's a bullish sign, because then they can't really dump Bitcoin that's not in the exchange, right? Now, as we saw the price going down here, we also saw Bitcoin reserves going down. This was very significant. And we spoke about this, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Pumpy, but over the past 3 streams, we brought this up over the past 3 streams because it was unusual. Usually when the price goes down, you could see here, reserves go up. It's usually the opposite. So the fact that the reserves were going down as the price was going down just would have led us to believe that someone knows something, right? We say this, someone knows something. So this pump was premeditated, it was coming. And there's no other explanation for this drop in Bitcoin reserve as the price was going down from 50x to 43, 42K, other than there was a pump being prepared. There was a buy that was coming. Or at the very least, the whales, the big guys, the exchanges, whoever moves the markets, at least wasn't worried that the price was going to dump much more before the next pump came about. So this is quite significant, guys. And I encourage you guys all, listen, cryptoquant.com. There's also glassnode.com. There's a few. You could get basic info for free.
They do also, sorry to put in, Bilo, they do also have a Telegram channel, which I've been sharing information from. They don't have, obviously, they don't have the amount of information that they do on their website, but they do share some things, and it's good to keep an eye on that as well.
Absolutely. And so there's even tutorials here, because you could be saying, how do I understand all this or whatever, they have tutorials. There's resources you can get in and you can learn. And I just encourage all of you to do this. It's an important part of analysis. It's I'm new to it myself. It's maybe been just a few months that I'm looking into on-chain, but I find that it's very useful addition and complementary to EA and FA. I'm just reviewing my notes to see if there was anything else I wanted to talk about when it came to Bitcoin, but I think this is about it. So yeah, Bitcoin is looking good right now, guys. I think it's going to pump. It's going to exceed the all-time high in a nutshell. But once the all-time high is exceeded, I would be cautious. And I would start taking profits. The key here is taking profits. If you just want to ride something as much as you possibly can, you could get lucky, I suppose, and you could do well. But the majority of the time, people end up getting burnt, and they end up losing all their gains. So take profits. It's better to make something than make nothing. And I know it burns to see, to sell a coin and see it continue to go up, but profit is profit, and it is crypto, and it's very cyclical. And you could get out of a project today and just get into another one. There's so many different opportunities out there. There's NFTs, there's DEXs, there's the gaming world now. There's just so many places to invest in that you just have to keep on doing your own research. Tune in here. We'll do our best to advise and guide, and we'll kind of we'll step it up on our end as well and try to bring in some more fundamentals into these live market overviews. It's something that we've been intending on doing. But the key here is to just make sure you take profits and trade safely. Take a look at Ethereum, just see what Ethereum is doing. Ethereum
Yes.
Hello? Can you guys hear me?
Yes, I
Oh,
can
yes.
hear you. Who was that? Sorry. Someone just said yes really loudly, and I thought, who was this?
Oh, I don't know.
I thought it was you.
It sounded like a coconut.
It sounded like a coconut.
I thought it was Mark.
It could well have been Mark. Mark, was it you?
Yes.
It was.
So short-term Ethereum, guys, same thing, all-time high. We came down, had an ABC. This is the 1, 2, 3, 4, and targeting the 5. In this case, it's very, very, very simple. We have a very nice looking inverse head and shoulders here. It's actually a very nice looking inverse head and shoulders. For those that are not familiar with it, I'll just draw it out a bit nicer so you guys can see it. And guys, we talk a lot about Elliott waves. If anybody has questions and would like a little bit of guidance on the basics of Elliott waves, just speak up and I'll be more than happy to give you a very quick crash course in Elliott wave right here, right now, if you're interested.
Crash course would be nice.
Yeah, sure, I'll do it.
Teach me, O master.
So,
damn you, Baldwin, and your silly black lines that you can't see.
There's also a way to comment as well by typing if you're not comfortable with speaking on the mic.
Yeah, there is a chat both on the YouTube video and also on our Zoom meeting where you can write requests and stuff if you don't feel comfortable with talking.
So guys, for those that don't know, an inverse head and shoulders. So there's such a thing as a head and shoulders, and then there's such a thing as an inverse head and shoulders, and they both work very similar. I'll just get some clean space here. So a head and shoulders looks something like this. Why is this doing that? Okay, so this is a head and shoulders. So this is where the price goes up, comes back down, goes up again, higher than the first time, comes back down, goes up again, tries to go higher, but doesn't, and comes back down again. And there's a common denominator called this neckline here, where these attempts all meet at the same point. Now, this point could be called a point of support. In this case, we're calling it the neckline of the head and shoulders. This is the head, left shoulder, right shoulder. What typically happens, and the way you measure the target, is you take a line from the top all the way down to the neckline and you transpose it underneath the neckline, and that would be your target. This is the technical target. It doesn't always work out to be this way. A lot of times there's such a thing called the fake out. And a lot of times you'll see something like this. I'll just show it to you here very quickly. I always forget where's what.
See, Bilo, why did you have to go all bearish and do it as a head and shoulders? Why couldn't you have done it as an inverse head and shoulders?
I'm going to flip it. I'm going to flip it. Yeah. I have balance. It's all about balance. Hold on. Where are the arrows? Here. Okay. So you could see something like this, okay? Something like this, like this, like this, like this, like this, like this. And then at this point, it goes down. It will come back up and retest, and then it'll either go down or it'll go back up. Okay, that's typically what you'll see in a head and shoulders situation. The opposite is true, is when you have this. Okay, and you have the price going down, back up, down, back up. In this case, it's resistance, and this is the head. This is the right shoulder. It'll go kind of up, come back down, retest, either continue back up or go back down. So this is just a very basic trading pattern called a head and shoulders, or when it's upside down like this, it's called an inverse head and shoulders. So this is what we're seeing here on Ethereum. If I can find it. Yeah, here we go. So you see here, this is the left shoulder, back up. This is the head, back up to the same line. And now we're in the right shoulder. So what we expect to happen, especially if Bitcoin continues up, because Ethereum will follow, is another test of this level, 3670 more or less, and then break out, come back, test the line and go back up again, or just continue up. But if this inverse head and shoulders plays through, the target for it is 4,700 excuse me, dollars for Ethereum. Okay, and in terms of an Elliott wave count, and now I'll explain Elliott wave count, but I'll just show you very quickly. So Elliott wave count and Fibonacci, and if you don't know what Fibonacci is, please just let me know and I'll explain that a little bit as well. But Fibonacci is essentially ratios, okay? I won't explain how these ratios are attained. I'll just say that they're ratios that traders follow and that most traders react to. So anything could be anything, guys, okay? Imagine if, I don't know, every time the price went up 5%, okay? 5% exactly at that point, most traders around the world thought that was bearish and sold. Well, then that becomes meaningful. So anything where a lot of people that trade follow and believe that it's significance or has significant value becomes something to keep an eye on. A lot of traders use Fibonacci, okay? And I'll explain this a little bit further down if you want me to explain it. But in this case, we have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're targeting wave 5 right now. We have a very clear 1, 2, 3. The target for wave 5 is what we're looking for. So we have here this inverse head and shoulders giving us a target for wave 5. It doesn't mean that's the target for wave 5 though, because wave 5 could be higher than this target, right? So we want to also find some confluence between the inverse head and shoulders target and the target for wave 5 using Elliott wave theory. So in this case, Elliott wave theory, what we did is a Fibonacci extension from 0 to 1, and it just so happened that 3 landed exactly on 3x of wave 0, 1 to 2, okay? So what does that mean? Okay, all it means is that the size of wave 1, when taken from wave 2, multiplied by 3, and because it's 3 right here, gives us the top of wave 3. So this entire thing is 3 times the length of this. Is that clear, guys? Is there anybody that doesn't understand?
Yes, that is very clear.
Okay.
It's clear, but why? Why 3 times?
Well, in this case, it wasn't. I'm not. In this case, I'm not projecting. I'm just telling you what happened, right? Because this already happened. It's in the past.
Oh.
So I'm just taking note that when I do a Fibonacci extension, wave 3 from starting at wave 2 is 3 times the size of wave 1. It's just a fact.
Okay.
It's not, excuse me, it's not, I'm not projecting, I'm not targeting, I'm not, foreseeing what's going to happen. This is already happened. Okay, it's already happened. And I'm just noticing something that happened. And I'm saying, in this case, wave 3 happens to be 3 times that of wave 1 when measured from wave 2. That's simple, okay? Elliott wave theory, maybe it's a good time to enter this right now. Elliott wave theory, I'll do this very quickly. And if you have more questions, we'll talk about it more next week because there's a few more things I'd like to cover. Elliott wave theory basically says that the market moves in the following manner. Okay, so the market moves as follows. There's a wave 1, and then a retracement to wave 2, a wave 3, a retracement to wave 4, a wave 5, and it's over. Then you have a correction and an ABC. Okay, that's essentially Elliott wave theories. You have 3 primary waves, 2 corrective waves, and at the end of the 5 waves, there's a correction of an ABC correction. And then you start over again. It could be that after C is over, you go down. It could be that you go up. It doesn't have to be continuation in the same direction. Okay? That's essentially what Elliott wave theory is. Now, what's also important to realize is that inside of any wave, there are subwaves. So if you understand that in Elliott wave theory, there's 5 waves, and this is the correction, then you can also understand that in reality, from here to here, this is wave 1. And from here to here, this is wave 2. And by the same token, inside of each primary wave, there are 5 waves. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And in fact, from here to here, this 2 is in reality an ABC. A, B, C. Do you follow?
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's larger scale waves and there's smaller scale waves. Let's say that this is the larger scale wave 1, and this is the larger scale wave 2. Well, inside of this one, there's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And inside of 1 of 5, there's another 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And inside of 1 of 5, I can draw another 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And it just, this is the cycle. It never ends. It's a cycle and a cycle and a cycle. And why does this matter? Is because once, like, for example, you notice Frank and I were talking a little bit earlier about which wave are we in, wave 3 versus wave 5 in the big picture. The only way to know this is to do these wave counts. And these wave counts have a very complex set of rules that are attached to them. There's no way I can cover this here, not just because we don't have enough time, but I don't know them myself. It's very complex. People that know Elliott wave theory well are paid millions of dollars on Wall Street to do these calculations, okay? It's a very complex method of analysis. And what I know, what little I know, is the basics. And sometimes I'm able to use it to target, let's say, wave 3 or wave 5, okay? In an ideal scenario for Elliott wave theory, actually, let me just get rid of these. In an ideal scenario, guys, okay? And it's all based on Fibonacci extensions. So wave 1 to 2 should give me, in an ideal scenario, wave 3 should be 1.618 that of wave, wave 1 when measured from 2. Okay? So if I was doing a count, and I identified that, okay, we finished in ABC. I'm starting a wave 1. I'm going down. I finished wave 2. I'm on my way up. I've passed this zone right here. Okay, I'll just try to draw this for you as well. I'm here right now. I'm going above this zone. This here, I would put in a buy order, and I would want to get out somewhere here. Just because in Elliott wave theory, 1.618 extension of wave 0 to 1 to 2 is the ideal target for wave 3. And then wave 4, the ideal target lies, somewhere in between wave 2 and between 2 and 2.618. Okay? When you know this, you're able now to extrapolate. So I was saying earlier, if I can find my chart, I was saying earlier how wave 3 happened to hit an extension of 3 of wave 1 to 2. Okay, so let's assume I'm targeting in a perfect Elliott wave theory that wave 5, after a drop down to wave 4, wherever wave 4 is, okay, was going to target somewhere here. Let's call it 2. So 2 to 1.618, you take out a calculator, or you would want to call it a 2.5, let's say, 2.5 to 1.61 is about 1.54. So then 3 times 1.54 is 4.62, okay? So I'm doing this very quickly, very rash, guys, but I just want you to understand the concept. So this means here that wave 5 could be anywhere. If let's say I said 4.62, wave 5. Notice how close. I said 4.62. It's 4.618. Now, anybody that uses Elliott waves or Fibonacci extensions will understand that anything with a 618 attached to it is actually a very important number. 618 is the golden ratio in Fibonacci. Okay. In fact, if we were to just do another example here, let's say this was we're going from here to here, we went up. Okay. If you were to draw a Fibonacci retracement tool from the bottom to the top. So when we say 618 retracement, it means that the price retraced to 618, 61.8% of this number. Okay? Is that clear? 61.8% of this number. From here to here times 61.8% gives me this number here. In trading, I will tell you that maybe 6 times or 7 times out of 10, not in a very small scale, guys, okay? Yeah, you have to always think in maybe like a 4-hour time frame minimum, okay? But if you're trading and the price does this, okay, some people will say here, Pumpeye likes 705 as well, but this zone here, let's call it this zone, is a golden pocket zone. More times than none, the price will rebound back up if you're coming from above. The opposite is also true, okay? If we have the price doing this, and we do a Fibonacci retracement, more times than none, if you get to here, the price will, at least the first time, bounce back down. 618, referred to as the golden pocket, in extensions is also a very significant number. So the fact that I want to know where 3 landed, and that normally 5 is about 1.5 times the extension of 3, led me to this target here of 4.618. So as I was saying earlier, just because the inverse head and shoulders is targeting 4,600 doesn't mean that this is the end of wave 5, right? Because wave 5 is going to look something like this. Oops, let me just fix this and I'll get rid of this. Wave 5, and I'll get rid of these here too. Let me just get rid of everything. Remember, guys, waves 1, wave 3, and wave 5 are made up of 5 waves, okay? So this could be 1, 2, and then we're in 3 right now, and then there's going to be a 4, and then there's going to be a 5. So maybe the target of the inverse head and shoulders is the top of wave 3 of wave 5. Does that make sense, or am I confusing you more? Please speak up.
That makes perfect sense to me, my friend.
Okay. So this could be wave 1 of 5, wave 2 of 5, wave 3 of 5 is somewhere here, wave 4 of 5, and then wave 5 of 5. Okay, this is the way, to me, that it looks. So that I would be targeting as a minimum for Ethereum, the inverse head and shoulder target to be my minimum take profit, and the maximum take profit as per Elliott wave theory, which is now extrapolation of wave 3, this wave 3, in this zone here. And, you know, you don't need to be perfect. You don't need to take profit exactly there. The idea of taking profit, guys, is taking it as you go. DCA means dollar cost average. Dollar cost average doesn't only refer to buying into something. It also refers to stepping out of something. So dollar cost average your profits, dollar cost average your entries. is a very important thing to learn and to apply in anything, in trading. I always say crypto, but I mean trading. From a technical perspective, looking at this chart right now, looking at the daily, something that I can't help but notice is what you see here. This is called the tweezer bottom. It's a very, very bullish sign in crypto. Trading. I'm just gonna try to expand the view so you guys can see it better. This here, okay? You see the body of the candle, and then you see this wick at the bottom. You see another body of the candle. You see a wick at the bottom. And what makes this very exciting is that, boom, here we go. This is the top. We've already gone above the top. Okay, this right here, going above is a buy signal. Anybody in trading would recognize this just by looking at the candles, not looking at anything else, as a buy signal. The wick, the two wicks at the bottom called tweezer bottoms. Here, I'll write it down so you guys can burn this into your memory. Tweezer bottoms. Okay, these here are called tweezer bottoms. And look at that. Look at this thing go. It's pumping as we speak. Let me go into a smaller time frame. You notice that the tweezer bottoms disappear in different time frames, right? Because what we've done is we've combined the different candles into one bigger candle. The daily candle has 6 4-hour candles inside of it. So if you take this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, this here is a daily candle. Okay, so anyway, needless to say, this is very bullish, and we're seeing it play out in front of us as we speak. That's about it, guys. I wanted to just look at Bitcoin and Ethereum and discuss a little bit. Next week, we'll put together something that makes the case for us being in wave 5, grand cycle 5 right now, and to try to target where would be that price point where we start to become more careful and start to take profits. We'll try to present something like this next week. We'll work on this in the meantime. Something that I mentioned a lot lately, and I'd like to just mention it again. Guys, don't miss out, or at least research the Polkadot parachain auctions. So the Kusama parachain auctions were a huge success. For those that don't know, please ask, but Kusama is a relay chain, and it's leasing out parachains to different projects that want to build on top of it or work on top of it. And those projects, in order to win a slot, they have to bid with Kusamas. And what these projects have done, instead of coming up with the Kusamas themselves, the Kusama tokens themselves, if they've initiated what's called a crowd loan, where us, the people, the crowd, lend our Kusamas. In the case of the Kusama parachain auctions, we lend our Kusamas to the project. These Kusamas are locked, and in exchange, we receive tokens of the projects that won one of the parachain slots. Okay? These Kusamas, in the case of the Kusama parachain auctions, are locked up for 48 weeks. You can't access them, but you get them back at the end of the 48 weeks. And obviously, in the meantime, if your project won a slot, you get whatever was promised you by the project, free tokens. Each project has different, different reward mechanisms, but essentially it's vested over the course of 48 weeks, vested daily. Now, a lot of people made a lot of money. I know people that made a lot of money and completely changed their lives. I don't want to miss this second opportunity. It's coming up with Polkadot. There are going to be differences. Okay, Kusama is the canary network of Polkadot. It's where projects go to sometimes just test before they move on to Polkadot, but a lot of projects remain on Kusama because it's cheaper, it's faster, and allows more of a learn as you go process. versus Polkadot, which is, they want to kind of perfect things and it's more expensive. Well, the same is going to go for the Polkadot parachain auctions. So while the Kusama parachain auctions was 48 weeks lockup, the Polkadot parachain auctions are actually a 2-year lockup. Okay, so it is a long time to lock up your tokens, 2 years. If you are someone that's familiar with the Polkadot ecosystem, you'll also know that it's quite relatively still under the radar. People heard about Bitcoin, people heard about XRP, people heard about Cardano, people heard about maybe now Solana, Litecoin, even Solana, I would say. I mean, people that I speak to that are in and out of crypto don't really know what Kusama is or what Polkadot is. So for the majority of people, it's still kind of below the radar. And what the applications that are being built on top of Kusama and Polkadot, and then the applications that are being built on top of the projects that want parachain slots, I mean, there's just sky's the limit. And they're essentially able to do whatever you can do on Ethereum, but for much cheaper. That's the whole point, right? They're like layer ones, sometimes it's layer twos, but essentially what these projects are doing is they're able to do whatever the Ethereum virtual machine is capable of, but for significantly cheaper and much faster. And that's what's propelling this success. So what you need to know about the Polkadot parachain auctions is that the only difference between the Polkadot and the Kusama parachain auctions is the amount of time. It's 2 years versus 48 weeks. But for those that are concerned about locking up their dots for a couple of years, there are some mechanisms that are starting to come out. Akala, for example, announced this week that they realize that 2 years is a long time to lock up your dots, and they're going to be providing you with what's called liquid dot tokens. And these liquid dot tokens are going to provide you an exchange, one-to-one exchange against the amount of dot tokens you stake, or not stake, but freeze. Because staking would imply a percentage reward. In this case, the reward is the token that you get from the parachain that wins the auctions. And guys, if you back a project that doesn't win, you just refunded the tokens. So it's not like your tokens are locked if your parachain does not win, if your project doesn't win a parachain. So this idea of liquid dot, I think it's going to take off, and I think most projects are going to follow Akala's initiative here, because what it essentially does is it gives you these liquid dot tokens that are pegged one-to-one to dot, and that you can trade, you can buy, you could sell, you could do whatever you want with them. And at the end of the 2-year period, you can redeem your dot tokens for however amount of liquid dots you still have in your hand. Example, you have 100 dot, you allocated them to Akala or to Moonbeam, and at the end of the 2 years, you left with 50 liquid dots because you sold 50. Well, you, in exchange for those 50 liquid dots, you'll get back 50 original dots. That's the idea. I strongly encourage you guys to read up on this, because it really is an opportunity to get in on projects that normally you would have to be a private, like, as a VC, you'd have to enter as a private sale. And even there, you would have to pay for it. Okay, here you're not paying for it. You're essentially just locking up your tokens, especially if you believe in them long term. To me, it's a no-brainer. My dots, I accumulate whenever I can. They're long-term holds for me. It's not something that I intend on selling. It's for, a lot of people will give you that same speech when it comes to Ethereum or when it comes to Bitcoin. Some people are going to be just holding it for the next 3, 4, 5, 6 years and whatever. So this is 2 years. There is that option of liquid dot that's coming out with Akala. I'm sure other projects will follow. And the message here is to just do some research on this, guys, and don't miss the boat, because the first auctions are coming up. The announcement came out this week as well. The first auctions are coming out in November 11th. The first auction is November 11th, the first batch. So it's coming up quickly. You could do it through an exchange. There are going to be possibilities to do this directly through the exchange. But I personally suggest you learn how to hold your dot on a decentralized wallet like the Polkadot.js app, because there's potentially other rewards you can have down the line that you wouldn't be able to get through the exchanges. And nobody knows, but anything airdrop related for whatever you did sometimes a year ago, you'll never get through an exchange. And I learned this the hard way, and I missed out on a lot of airdrops by holding some of my tokens on exchanges. I still hold some tokens on exchanges, but when it comes to these crowd loans, I've decided to take them off the exchange, and that's how I'm doing it. But it's up to everybody, obviously, to decide how they want to play it.
Nice. Thank you, Bilo.
No problem. We also posted in the TA channel, guys, that DOT, and you'll see DOT is pumping, okay? And this is not by, this was not unforeseen, okay?
Nice.
The fact that the parachain auctions were coming, we posted, I think, over a week ago, but we mentioned this regularly in this live setting, that because the Polkadot parachain auctions are coming, DOT at a certain point in time will become somewhat of a scarce resource, because there's going to be a lot of people that want to participate. We're talking about hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars of DOT being locked up, okay? So you're going to have two types of people or traders that are going to be buying up DOT for the parachain auctions. The first type is the type we just spoke about, that want to lock up their DOT because they want to get rewards from whatever project they support. But there's also the type that are going to buy knowing that people are buying to lock up their tokens and that they're going to eventually just dump. And we saw this happen with Kusama. Okay, so as Kusama was gearing up for its own parachain auctions, we saw the price pump and pump and pump. And then we had, quite a serious dump. It went from like 600 to, let me just look at the Kusama chart around that time. But we had a good dump, okay? Yeah, so I don't remember if this happened. Hold on. I think it was somewhere here. Yeah, somewhere here, okay? Because I think it was in August or June. I can't remember the exact date, but I do remember, guys, that everybody was surprised. How come it was going down? I think it was here, actually. Yeah, it was in June. Sorry, this is it here. So it went up to 518 and then just continued back down. Everybody was surprised, but the reason is that there was tokens that were locked, and the people that bought up the price here, whether it was to lock it up in the Kusama parachain auctions or whether it was to dump it once everybody bought, resulted in this. And right now, today, there's a shitload of Kusama locked up in multitudes of projects. I don't have the exact numbers, but it's hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars of Kusama that's locked up. And I expect after this move that happened here, and you could see it actually here, I'm targeting about $700 for Kusama in this cycle before the bear cycle that we spoke about earlier begins. Yeah, that's about it, guys. That's it's about what I wanted to say. If you have any questions, please go ahead.
Would you prefer to buy KSM or DLT?
KSM.
Why?
Why would I buy KSM? Because I believe long-term in its scalability, a lot of projects that are going to be building on it. And it is the cheaper DOT, but in a lot of cases, it's the real DOT, because I think there's going to be more projects building on Kusama than there will be building on DOT, just because it's more economical.
Yep, fair enough.
And never discount, guys, never discount hype. It's a cheap word, but it has and holds a lot of value. There's a lot of hype around Kusama, Polkadot, the parachains, Moonbeam, Moon River. There's a lot of hype. I mean, you just go on Twitter and you'll see there's a lot of hype.
I mean, just looking at your screen, I could see Moon River, Moon River, Moon River.
Oh no, I was doing some research for something else, but yeah. No, I'm a big fan of Moon River. I mean, Moon River is interesting because it's the only project that I know of where nobody had chance at a pre-sale. It's purely 100% community, and the only access people had to get Moon River tokens was through the parachain auctions or when it first listed. There were no pre-sales, there were no private sales, no VCs. Now, that's not to say that no VCs got Moon River, because let's say some VCs put up, I don't know, 5,000 Kusamas into the parachain auctions. Well, they obviously end up with a shitload of Moon River for free. So it's not to say that, it's all, normal folks like you and I. But it still is the only project I know of that doesn't have or didn't have a pre-sale, as we know it.
Bilo, could you chart?
If you look at the chart now, on the right shoulder, if you just point to the arrow.
What do you want me to look at? Sorry.
The chart that's on the screen now. If you point to the right arrow, pointing up.
This, yeah.
Yeah, can you just point at that and say, bada bing, bada boom?
Sure. Bada bing, bada boom.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome, sir. Yeah, Pumpy.
Could you please chart injective protocol for me?
ENG, is it? What is it?
INJ.
INJ. Okay.
MRX just wrote a comment. He just wrote Altar.
I'm just calculating something, okay? Okay, so by the same theory that I gave earlier with regards to the ratio between 3 and 5 on a normal Elliott wave cycle, this would be the target of wave 4. It just happens to be exactly 4 times extension of wave 0 to 1 starting at wave 2, because wave 3 is at 3. I'm actually wheezing here. Aside from that, this doesn't mean that this is the end of it, because what we do also see here is a cup and handle, excuse me. And the target of the cup and handle is right here at 5.618 extension. Oops. I just screwed something up. Hold on.
Which is also very close to the all-time high.
Also close to the all-time high. Yeah.
Current all-time high.
So, yeah. So this target for wave 5 to me, it makes sense also because I would want to see a retest of the cup and handle. So then likely, well, what I'm thinking might happen is once you hit 5, you'll have an A, B, C, retesting the top, and then you'll start off again in this direction. If the bull market continues the way it's continuing right now. If we look at a smaller time frame and we see what's going on, just to analyze what is going on. So it's not hard to spot that there's a channel here of some sorts.
Yeah.
So we'll just draw the channel and see what it's showing us. Okay.
Is that a lovely green circle on your indicator?
Yeah, but I think it's a bit in the past. It's pointing to this right here.
It's calling the bottom from that drop.
Yeah, it's in the past. So in terms of a smaller time frame, the only thing I could notice is that we're getting into some bearish divergence on money flow, which is why we saw this retrace. So this is going to get erased. We're going into higher time frames. Yeah, we see it again here. So this is resetting itself right now. So what we want to see is we want to see the RSI drop at least to this level before continuation. So if I was to draw a line, here, I'd like to see RSI drop to around this level of support before it goes back up. So right now, I'm neither bullish nor bearish on this. I would say that it just looks okay. We're in a channel. We're probably going to retest the bottom of this channel before we break out of it again. These are my thoughts on this.
Okay, what about V-chain?
Looks like an inverse head and shoulders. This would be the start. This couldn't have been wave 1, 2 because wave 2 can't retrace more. So this would be the start. And this looks like it would be a wave 1 right here. But would have to go into a smaller time frame to see it, because right now this here, if this was a wave 1, then this wave right here would make it so that this is an ending wave diagonal. And if this was an ending wave diagonal, here, then we're about to see a stronger rejection down. This would be the ABC. So if this was this was the start, this would be wave 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and this would be wave 5. So this would be 3, and this would be wave 5. This doesn't work. I mean, the wave count is effed up because wave 4 can't retrace more than wave 1. And unless you're in a leveraged market, and I understand this is a leveraged market, but this doesn't look like a leveraged wave 4. This just looks like an ABC. So it's an invalid wave count. I don't think we can take a wave count from here. These are just a bunch of ABCs. Remember I told you earlier that sometimes you can end the wave count and just continue with ABCs. I think this is one of those cases. Because if I was to do a count on this, this would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we'd have a whole bunch of ABCs. So A, B, C. Here it is again, A, B, C. Here it is again. And you see it clearly, huh? A, B, C. A, B, C. A, B, C. And the fact that we went up then down, I mean, it's just a very confusing picture, to be honest with you, from an Elliott wave perspective, at least beyond my field of knowledge.
Yeah.
Because then I would say this is an ABC again here. And the problem with this now, from an Elliott wave perspective, I would say here A, B, C. Then the problem with this now is that we've reversed trend now. This would mean this is 1, 2, and then we're going down, which doesn't work with the big picture. But I don't like this here.
Well, that consolidation.
Yeah. It's just happening at the wrong time.
Yeah, fair enough.
We've also got a message from Kai, or K.
Kai.
Flow and fat.
Flow.
And he's going to give me a couple of reputation points, I think, for speaking out for him.
So the thank you. The thing with Flow is that it has this big token unlock from the CoinList sale. I think 1 day or 2 days after today, and that's more an FA thing, I guess. But there I saw a chart with the FTX funding, and there's a lot of leveraged shorts on Flow as well. So there's a very interesting maybe interaction that might happen in the next days. I don't know.
Thank you very much for that little nugget, because I've been meaning to invest in something, and I've been looking for the right project to invest in, and actually I was looking for a blockchain specifically. So that's very good to hear. Thank you.
Yes, Flow is awesome for NFTs. It's super.
Tell us more about Flow.
So there should be a nice dip.
Well, it's the blockchain that was I don't know, established by the CryptoKitties founders.
Yeah.
And they recently had a partnership with Google as well, and they have a lot of like NBA Top Shots is on Flow blockchain.
It's Dapper Labs.
And Dapper Labs. And there's right now the Flowverse community festivities. I shared that in the Crypto Society channel as well, and they it's very interesting, all the projects that are upcoming. So I'm a big fan. Yes.
Nice. I'll be sure to look it up. I don't know much about it, to be honest.
There is an indicator as well. I was thinking of when Burak tells something to move, it moves.
And in the case of Solpad, it was the CEO and the CMO.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. I think you lost those privileges, Pumpy. It used to be you that used to tell things to would move. You've been replaced.
I don't know. There's been a few occasions recently when I've said, right, Bitcoin is now going to move in the right direction, and it's happened.
Do we still have Frank on the line?
We do indeed.
Frank, you still there?
No, but when Burak tells Bitcoin to move, the whole continent of China moves.
Yeah, I'm here, Bilo.
Frank, what's happening with FET? Do you know what's happening with FET in terms of the staking? There's this whole thing where you can't even access your tokens.
Well, I mean, in short, that's Fed going to their mainnet.
Yeah.
So Fed did the changeover from the Ethereum network to their mainnet, and anyone else correct me here, mainly looking at Kai in case he knows any better. But in short, that transition, because they already had the staking system, they launched the staking system early on Ethereum just to please effectively the masses instead of waiting for mainnet. And that transition from Ethereum to mainnet is effectively what's going on right now. But I don't think it's actually, it may be a little complicated, but I don't think it's lost people their tokens or blocked stuff or anything like that.
I think the only way to retrieve your tokens on their mainnet is, and I find this very strange in crypto world, is you have to share your private key for your wallet in order to migrate over to mainnet and have access to your tokens, or you have to wait. I think it's like 10 months. I just
No. I think you need to be super careful with that. I mean, I helped a friend do it last week, and I remember talking with Kai about this. Probably, what was it, Kai? A month ago?
Yeah, I think it's longer. It was 2 months ago.
You
definitely do not share your private key.
No,
so
I know,
be careful.
But that's what even on their Telegram chat and their Medium article describing how it's done, they actually tell you that's the only way to do it, unless you had to set up their wallet earlier. Then you had, I guess, another way to do it. But if you hadn't set up your wallet earlier, I mean, you could look this up right now.
Yeah, I actually helped a friend do it yesterday, but I don't believe, I mean, we did it remotely, and I don't believe he gave his private key at all away to anyone. You remember having to do that, Kai?
No, but I'm also one of those that made the wallet before the mainnet.
Yeah, that's why you probably don't have to do this because of that.
But I mean, I created my own, like a mainnet wallet with a private key, but I have never shared it. Yeah.
For those who wish to migrate tokens to a new mainnet address, it's on the screen where you just were.
And there was I mean, the bridge is also, it would be, and there's a 21-day lockup period. That is maybe also a factor to take into.
Yeah, no, this is something else. This is anyway. Look into it. I looked into this a lot, and I spoke with Trema. You know Trema in the chat?
Yeah.
The real Trema, because there's a few fake ones, and I know Trema from a while, and he confirmed to me that it is the only way is you have to share your private key of your MetaMask, not with somebody on the team, but at one point in time you have to share it in the process of transferring your tokens over, and I found that really, really fucked up. Personally, I didn't like that.
I don't know what's behind that, because really I also did it all manually almost half a year ago. So it might be part of this auto migration process. And I don't know if that means that because it's an auto migration, you obviously need to they must have created a wallet for you in some way, and they need to link it back to you.
Can I just interrupt? Because I think Pumpy is trying to say that
it was on the screen that you were on, Bilo. It said about if you wanted to do it without having to use your passphrase, then that was on a different date. So if you go back to where you were, it was within that. As you scroll down, it's in the bullet points of the dates. There you go, stop. 14th of October, reconciliation registration opens for those who wish to migrate tokens.
Oh, here you go. Without migrating their MetaMask keys. There you go.
I know I was being annoying and interrupting, but I was actually
sorry
that it was there.
Right,
for
but
those who wish
that's
to
as of
migrate
tomorrow. So you do it now.
without
That's
migrating
14th of
MetaMask,
October.
but you see, they were actually asking for your MetaMask keys or passphrase. I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they will need to gain access if the reconciliation, like that makes, if you haven't done anything for all that time, I don't know how else you could even get hold of your tokens.
I think what they should have done for those that were staking, I was staking on fetch.ai, is just let us unstake, create a new wallet, and then transfer your tokens over or bridge them.
Just below that, it says as well to input their private keys in order to access.
Where's this?
We want to take a moment to address some concerns as to why we are asking our community members to input their
You
private
see, I mean,
keys.
this is not that it really was the case. Like, they were asking for private keys, which I found was, Anyway.
Yeah, that's a bit weird.
I mean,
But,
I gave my private keys to a guy called Bobby. Also Bobby 1, Bobby 2, Bobby 6, Bobby 12, Bobby 15.
And Istvan.
What can I say about Fetch, guys? Fetch is just outstanding. Chart looks beautiful. I mean, Fetch made an all-time high in September. I mean, that says it all, no?
And they still have, from a fundamental perspective, they still have a whole ton coming out for Q4. I think almost purposefully. They're a bit sly like that, but I mean, what project isn't, right? But good thing is price action's there. And there's a channel going up, there's clear waves going up, there's generally a lot of things TA-wise. And the one thing I'm looking at on this chart specifically is to just not close below 70. If we can hold this support and start moving upwards from here, I think we're going to be super strong.
Well, this here is not even wave 3. This is not even the top of wave 3. If this is wave 1 and 2, wave 3 is not even finished. This is definitely not the retrace for wave 4. Wave 3 is somewhere here.
Yeah, I'm aiming at around 1.5, 1.6, and ultimately around the 2.5, 2.6.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
I mean, ultimately for this wave, because I think it can go much higher.
I agree.
And for anyone who doesn't hold FET, I know it's one of my secret loves that I've been holding, and it's actually made my career in crypto. But they've got a good 20% staking on their mainnet as well.
Nice.
Which is definitely worth taking advantage of.
Not to switch the subject, but could we do AVAX, as Barak has been asking in the chat today?
AVAX is at a discount right now.
And Frank, it was no secret.
Yeah, that's true.
If we were to follow tradition, we should skip Barak's requests and go straight to Matic.
So we broke out of this rising wedge earlier than I thought. We had this rising wedge that I was hoping would get somewhere here, but we reached $79, $80, and we're now at 50, 51. So this erases the rising wedge. Let's just get rid of all this. AVAX is starting to become more known. Oops.
Ah, man, I did not realize that AVAX dropped down that low.
Yeah. I remember yesterday you were asking me in the chat, what are you eyeing up? One of them was AVAX.
Man, I would seriously, if I'd have realised that it dropped that low when we had the big drop, then I would have bought some.
It's not too late.
Well,
still pretty late.
Yes, but we're talking about multipliers, and the multiplier from 12 is a whole lot different to the multiplier from 54.
Yeah.
Borak has his move energy recharging. That's what he wrote.
Yeah.
Sorry, just to
I'm
talk a little
thinking
bit.
of to use.
This level here is important as support, and I'd like to see us break above this level before we continue on up. The fact that we broke down here is actually good, but because it erased this bearish wedge. We no longer have a bearish wedge. Just want to see if we have a channel now.
What were you saying, Burak?
Yeah, we do.
Yeah. And then from a, sorry, Burak, just give me a sec, bro. And then from a divergence perspective, it's also very nice looking because, and I'll even go into not monthly, but weekly, because I'm sure it'll show up there too. Yeah, oh, come on. What is that? Okay. So
it doesn't show up as divergence.
No, it doesn't, no. But what does show up and what's nice is we see this doji here at the bottom. Okay.
Yeah.
Still have 4 days to go. But me personally, right now, I would think that this is going to end up being a hammer at the end of this week. My personal prediction is this is going to end up being a hammer by the end of this week, because it's at a very it's at support. I mean, if it's not at a hammer, it's going to go down a lot more because it's at support right now. But there is bullish divergence. If I go back to the daily, there is definitely bullish divergence between here and here. We see it here. We're sloping downwards versus sloping upwards. So it has all the right ingredients to go back up here. Aside from the support channel, has a lot of other ingredients going for it. So yeah, AVAX is it's a good buy.
Okay, how about Matic?
Perfect, thank you.
In terms of let's just analyze something else though. Okay. What's the market cap of AVAX?
The market cap?
Yeah, I'm just gonna look on CoinGecko. It's 12 billion.
So Burak, when are you gonna tell it to move?
I guess now, right? As Bilo said, it's bullish, so I guess it should move.
Don't guess, you tell it.
Okay, move them.
The thing is, I wonder, I'm not very familiar with AVAX. Maybe somebody can tell me, guys. Are all the tokens for AVAX out or not yet? Because looking at CoinGecko, there's a market cap and then there's a fully diluted market cap, meaning there's more tokens to come.
They're not all out yet. There's a total supply of 377 million, and there's, there's currently 220 million.
So that release schedule would affect how we would look at the potential for AVAX from here. I'd be interested to see how and when these tokens are getting released.
Oh no, sorry, the max supply is actually 720 million.
When Burak tells the tokens to move, they burn.
Well, on CoinGecko, it says that the total supply is 377 million, but the available supply is 220 million.
Yeah, but it also says max supply 720 million.
Where do you see that?
Directly below total supply.
I don't see that for some reason.
Oh. I'm on. I don't know if you're looking.
I'm on my mobile, so maybe
okay.
on mobile.
I'm looking at the PC.
But how could the maximum supply exceed total supply? Is it inflationary, maybe?
Maybe, I don't know, maybe it's got to do with locked team tokens. I don't know.
But that should be under total supply. Anyway, I was hoping to be able to shed some light from an FA perspective, but I would need to know what the vesting or the release schedule is. And let's say there's a big release of tokens coming up soon, well, it would explain why this thing is dumping right now.
Okay, it actually says the maximum number of coins coded to exist in the lifetime of the cryptocurrency. It's comparable to the maximum number of issuable shares in the stock market. Max supply equals the theoretical maximum as coded, whereas total supply, the amount of coins that have already been created minus any coins that have been burned or removed from circulation, is comparable to outstanding shares in the stock market. Total supply equals on-chain supply minus burned tokens. So there you go.
So if there's a bunch of tokens getting released right now or soon, that would explain why the price is dropping. And if there's more to be released, the price is going to drop more. So that's very important to take that FA into account when you're analyzing, guys, the chart, because the chart doesn't say that. The chart says we're at support, we're good, we should go up. But if all of a sudden there's a whole bunch of tokens released from private sales or whatever that are going to be dumped on the market, the price is going to go down some more. So that would be important information to have.
During this session, I got 2 notifications saying that Energy Web token is up. Is that bullish?
Actually, when something goes up, it's very bearish. Yes.
No, but Chico made a video on it that launched a couple of hours ago on the fact that Google will be partnering and likely be a validator for the Energy Web chain.
It's one of the projects that disappointed me a lot in terms of gains.
Yeah, I think people just don't get it yet, honestly. It's disappointed me, but, you know, depends on your time horizon. It's still on paper one of the most solid projects out there, really.
If not the most. I mean, you have governments behind it. It's not...
Yeah, you have governments, utilities, like people don't know the value of Energy Web.
Yeah.
So I've just been, you know, I accepted to stop crying about it when it was just kind of like a $6 stable coin.
I'm just holding it as well. But when you look at it's like hindsight is 2020, right? When you look back and you say, where else could I have put that money? And it's like, it's easy to say now, I could have put it here, I could have put it there. Nobody really knows. But in terms of performance relative to the other good stuff we all knew about, it's really underperformed. It an ocean. Yeah.
Unfortunately, yes, but you know the staking's still gonna come out. It's still a young chain and it's getting traction. So, and they're doing it the right way in terms of regulations and all that stuff. Yeah. So at least I feel safer. I see it as my bond part of my portfolio.
They're very regulation oriented. You have to be when you're partnering with governments. I mean, you can't really be any different. Excuse me.
Bilo, can you die quietly, please, and just talk?
Yeah, sure. Sorry.
But yeah, I feel like looking at this chart. Yeah, looking at this chart, it just feels like we're consolidating sideways, and in fact, we're kind of creating a big W or something.
Yeah, like a Halloween W.
Yeah. Or boobies. Sorry.
For me, it looks like a outbreak from a descending channel.
Did you say the big green circles are reversals?
Yes, they are.
Big green circles are the big...
you that the bottom's in. Or that at least the temporary bottom is in. But on the daily, it's quite a lot more prominent.
So that's about it, guys, for today. Thank you for joining us. I hope we answered your questions to your satisfaction. We're always happy to receive your comments. You can DM any of us and provide us with your suggestions, how you'd like us to improve, what else we can do to make this more interesting, and different maybe areas of crypto that you'd like for us to educate you on. Thank you. Pumpeye.
Thank you very much. Before you stop sharing your screen, Bilo, those of you who are joining us on YouTube, I'm just going to share a nice little video about Fibonacci. It's called Nature by Numbers. And those of you who are on Zoom, I will share my screen in just a moment. Thank you very much for joining us this evening. Thanks very much for joining us, Frank. It's been great.
Thanks.
It's lovely to join you guys as well. I'm now, like I explained it to some friends, I'm finally out of hibernation of this, and I'm coming out to sharpen up for profit-taking period. So I haven't done any trading in the last 9 months, and I think now we need to get sharp again. And
that's why you sound so cool and collected.
Yeah, Bilo, I've had a good 9 months off crypto, but
for you.
Thanks. But now it's time to get back in.
There was also a message by Philip asking how to participate in the Polkadot auctions, but I think that's more for the main chat.
No, I mean, how to participate. The first thing is it sounds obvious, but just go on Google and just Google Polkadot parachain auctions. From there, you'll get a list of, first of all the parachains that are going to join. Or not join, excuse me, all the projects that would like to secure a parachain. And you would have to select which projects you want to support. So for example, Akala, Moonbeam, Kilt is actually going to be launching on both Kusama and on Moonbeam, on, Dot. There's going to be a whole bunch, guys. And you just essentially pick the project you want to support. And then there's the crowd loan funding process that each project provides the information on how to do. And you lock up your tokens. You lock them up, in this case, for 2 years against a reward that you receive from the project that wins, that you selected, that wins a parachain. That's usually vested over a portion of time. And maybe you weren't there in the beginning when I was discussing it, but there's now, Akala came up with this thing called liquid dot tokens, which essentially they're tokens that are pegged one-to-one to the dot value that you can trade and do as you wish with. And at the end of the parachain auction lease period, which is in this case 2 years, you have the option to return whatever liquid dots you still own in exchange for real dots. Or if you sold them all, well, you sold them all and that's it. Essentially, that's the process. Maybe next week, if you guys are really interested, and if you need a bit more guidance, we can actually go and Google it together and look and go through the different steps and research what you have to do in order to participate. If that's something that's interesting, let us know and we'll certainly do it.
Thank you very much, Bilo.
Thank you. I think we missed someone's request, right? But okay.
That's okay. We'll have a look in the chat.
The salt pad chart I can live without.
I think it was FTM, right?
It's in the anchor fractal.
That's Burak misusing his powers.
So guys, on that note, I'm gonna leave you with this Nature by Numbers Fibonacci video. I'm sharing it to the Zoom meeting as well now. Enjoy, and we'll speak to you soon. We'll see you next week at the same time, 10 p.m. CET. Thanks very much, guys. Have a good night.
Thank you as well.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.
Very nice.
Bye.
Take care, everyone.
for the video.